Good evening. Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes each. So, 5 topics, 8 minutes, 2 hosts, a guest, or tonight it's going to be a little different. Some singing, a lot of curse words, and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm good. You are in a different background, I observe.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm in my new writer's room in New York. So we just got it finished and put together, and it's lovely and I love it. And my colleague just came in to do the show with me. So there she goes. Okay. She can stay though. They're so sweet. But I'm doing great. I think it's been a good week. Overall. Things seem to be coming together.
Yeah. It's almost like last night here in the Hudson Valley, there was a lightning storm that lasted for like 6 hours and didn't stop. And it was really weird.
Yes.
But I feel like that. I feel like it's like Zeus, like hurling thunderbolts of justice from on high, Yeah. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. There's worse things for sure.
I know. Well, the gods are talking to us. We got and we do have some good things to talk about and some things to get to. Do you want to let everybody know what you're?
Yeah. Okay. So there's good news. There's bad news. Okay. The bad news is I have to cut my participation in the festivities short tonight. So I'm only going to be here for the first 2 segments. That's the bad news. The good news is I'm here. And the even better news is the great and very knowledgeable Cliff Schecter is waiting in the wings, and he's going to take the baton from me after the media. I will be gone, and he will appear, and there he will. I know.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not good. We're going to miss you, but it is. Yeah. That is the good news. And we will do the after hours next week. Everybody, is that right? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to move the after hours next week, and we'll come back to talking about all that. But I'd love to dive into our topics because, as you know, there was some news today. So you want to jump into that? You want to get going on that? You want me to take the lead on that one?
You can take the lead. Is the news that the Chiefs lost to the Lions and football started? No, nobody cares about that. Okay, next.
I love the Kansas City Chiefs. Actually, I used to be a big Chiefs fan. No. So there was how many people? The unindicted. How many didn't get indicted? And I want to start this by saying, everybody, you know what we're talking about? We're talking about the Fulton County. We're talking about Fani Willis. And there was a couple things going on with her case today, or just in her presence. So she wrote this, Jim Jordan's been trying to call her to account in front of Congress and have her present him and his committee with all of the evidence of the case that she has against Donald and all these people. And so she wrote him a letter today that knocked my socks off. I just thought it was the greatest thing. And also reminding, so everybody go check out that letter. I don't have it in front of me to read, but she was like, you can buy the RICO statute state by state for, a little over $200, if you want to do. Clearly, he has no sense of the Constitution whatsoever. And she schooled him. It was wonderful, glorious.
The best part, the real subtweet, as they say, is that she said, for a non-bar member, the book price is whatever it is, $257. Because that's, Jim Jordan famously went to law school, but did not pass the bar.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I didn't know the level of that.
That is a smack of the. That is oh my God.
Oh, I love her so much. I didn't realize the level of
No. Yeah. That's you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Leave me alone. Kind of thing. It's
so good.
It's delightful. Yes.
And the other thing is she reminded him, and we're all reminded, that it was the grand jury who made recommendations. This isn't Fani Willis's. Yes, she's the head. She's heading up this case, but she didn't come up with these recommendations. This is a grand jury found all of these people, right, had broken the law based on what they had seen and recommended to her. She got the recommendation to indict them. And it turns out she got a recommendation to invite to the RICO case a whole bunch of other people. So, and we saw some of those names just pop right off it. And one person got mentioned right at the top twice in this grand jury recommendation. So Greg has the names for us, everybody. Let's read through these names of people who she did not indict. Maybe
well,
no, I don't know, but she didn't. She's actually held her powder on some of these people that we would love to see indicted, but for whatever reason, she looked at the evidence and chose not to include them in her RICO indictment. So who do we got, Greg?
Okay, well, this is a list, and you have to cross. It's almost like one of these things in school, like which one of these people hasn't been indicted yet. So you have to go through and kind of circle the one. So I'm going through. Okay, Giuliani indicted. John Eastman
indicted.
Fifth.
Oh, fifth.
Indicted. Kenneth Cheesebro indicted.
Oh, yeah.
Donald Trump was he? Oh, right. Yes, he was indicted. I believe we saw a mugshot. Cleta Mitchell on the list, not indicted.
Now,
how very she was on that phone call. I thought was she not?
She was on that phone call. I believe with the 11,000. All I'm looking for, and Meadows was on that call. And some reason, Cleta didn't end up in the RICO indictment.
Weird how that is.
What might Cleta have done? What might Cleta have bargained for herself? We are only speculating here.
We don't know. We don't know. You know.
We don't know.
Jenna Ellis.
Yes.
Indicted. Can't get the whiff of the crime off her if she tried. Mark Meadows. Indicted. Not only indicted today, they smacked him down too and said, "Nah, you're not allowed to go back to DC." But he's in trouble again. This guy. He's just the bad legal stuff. Schaefer and Smith, number 10 on the list. Lynn Wood.
Oh, how
not indicted. Not indicted. Yeah, I don't know. Weird. Hey, speaking of people whose first names begin with LIN.
Oh my goodness.
Lindsey Graham. Not indicted. Now he went on TV and kind of protested his innocence and all this stuff, but
that little ladybug. Little ladybug.
I don't know. I feel like if he could cooperate, he would cooperate. I feel like he would enjoy it. I don't think he likes these people. I really don't.
I don't think so. And I can't. I remember the stories of January 6th of Lindsey squealing at the top of his lungs and people wanting that, maybe even those recordings to come out. And then he comes out right after that and said, I'm out of this. I'm out. And then, of course, he did the Lindsey, two-step. Lindsey two-face two-step where he goes back on all that and he's Trump's sycophant again. He what might Lindsey know as a former JAG, right? As a former prosecutor himself.
Yeah. And someone who does not like Donald Trump and never has, by the way.
And never has, and I don't think wants to go to prison. I don't think he wants
I think that's a near certainty. I think so. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Sidney Powell indicted. Robert Cheeley, I don't know who that is. So I don't know if he's indicted.
I don't know. And I'm sorry, guys. I know that our audience is informed as you are. You're so much more informed than we are most of the time. You guys probably know all these people. You've done threads on them on Shitter and let us all know. But some of these names that were, I just, and even some I recognize, and I had to go, oh, why do I recognize that? And then it was obvious. But
anyway, your one's eyeballs just skip right past looking at the next name on the list, Michael Flynn.
Let's stop there. Because I forgot to put the timer on.
I thought you might have.
Coming up on 8 minutes. I'm so sorry. I forgot to do it. Mike Flynn. I just can't imagine Mike Flynn cooperating.
No way.
There's no way. So what is that about? Why didn't he get indicted? If the grand jury recommended this guy, right? They found enough to recommend him. So
wouldn't be the first time he got
indicted.
What are they
staring at? What kind of evidence are they staring at? I can't wait for this trial. I can't wait to see it.
I don't know. If he were cooperating, probably I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to speak out of turn, but my understanding about when you cooperate, there's certain things you agree to. And I think like roaming around doing podcasts, raising money for open sedition is maybe one of the things you're not supposed to do.
Maybe.
If you're going to cooperate with the government.
Yeah.
I would think maybe, like be quiet. Just, stand down and stand by, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We'll just talk about him a little bit later, a little bit more.
Okay.
But yeah, those are our guys.
3 more interesting names on the list before I know we're coming up on time.
I'm so sorry.
Boris Epstein.
Oh yeah. Oh, that guy. One of the first digs I did was on Boris Epstein because he was involved. He had a guy that was his former business partner way back in the mid 2000s or maybe a little later. Because he was so weird when he showed up all of a sudden on this Trump team, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what is this? And like he was stranger than Cohen to me, Michael Cohen, and he was involved in some kind of some guy that had some gold scam in Vancouver, some kind of crazy thing. I'll go try to find that. But one of the first people I look into, and boom, pop, up comes all this. Claims of criminality from others, right? Online stuff and lawsuits and all this insanity for other people he'd been in business with. So God only knows who this guy is, where he comes from, what, I don't know. I don't know.
I know. He went to Georgetown and that's where he met Eric Trump.
Oh, well, there it goes.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
To my alma mater's shame.
They all seem to find the Trumps. It's so fascinating.
It's weird. Last 2 interesting names on the list of note are former senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler.
Oh yeah, those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember the scam? I don't know, Greg. These people might be crooks.
We've been jokey, but just for a second, those were the 2 senators of the state of Georgia then, and they're involved with this. They did whatever they did was enough to convince that the grand jury should indict them. So that seems like a big deal.
But they're not indicted.
They're not indicted.
They're not indicted.
They're the unindicted.
They are the unindicted. So very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. All right, we're going to move on.
Let's move on.
I know we're all it's new news and it's exciting, and we'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Starlink.
You can start the timer. Put the timer on.
It's on.
It's on? Okay.
Yes.
Look, you and I were talking about topics for this week a couple days ago, and I was like, are we going to have to talk about Elon Musk? And you were like, no. And I'm like, good. Because I'm sick of him. My hatred for him is, I don't even know if there's a single human that I despise more than him for a variety of reasons, viscerally and everything else. But we need to talk about him in kind of in a serious way now.
Yeah. Okay.
Because of news just from this week or the last week and a half or whatever that's come out. And the way that this guy is being portrayed in the media is ridiculous and needs to fucking stop. Yeah. I know that this Walter Isaacson guy writes biographies of geniuses, but going from Einstein to Jobs to fucking Musk is like, I don't even know what. Is it Godfather 1, 2, and 3? No, because if Scott Baio was in Godfather 3 instead of Al Pacino, that's Musk doesn't belong in that. It's one of those SAT. Which one does not belong? He's not a genius. And the best case scenario about him is that he's kind of a smart guy who thinks he knows more than he knows, and is just kind of winging it, and in so doing, fucking up our town square, formerly known as Twitter, and the Starlink in Ukraine on the fucking battlefield. So this is the thing that came out this week, and I want to read this quickly. This is from Victoria Kim in the New York Times today. Elon Musk acknowledges withholding satellite services to thwart Ukrainian attack. A top advisor to Ukraine's president accused Elon Musk of enabling Russian aggression after the billionaire entrepreneur, acknowledged denying satellite internet service in order to prevent a Ukrainian drone attack on a Russian naval fleet last year. The Starlink satellite internet service, which is operated by Musk's rocket company, SpaceX, has been a digital lifeline in Ukraine since the early days of the war for both civilians and soldiers in areas where digital infrastructure has been wiped out. On Thursday, CNN reported on an excerpt from Isaacson's upcoming biography, Elon Musk, later published by the Washington Post, that said the billionaire had ordered the deactivation of Starlink satellite service near the coast of Crimea last September to thwart the Ukrainian attack. The excerpt said that Musk had conversations with a Russian official that led him to worry that attack on Crimea could spiral into a nuclear conflict. So there's, okay, I'm going to stop now. He's being force-fed Russian propaganda from a fucking Kremlin operative, a high-ranking Kremlin operative, and use that information to fuck with the war. So at this point, he has blood on his hands.
On behalf of the war criminals. On behalf of the war
on behalf of the criminals. And look, like I said, the best case scenario is that he's just a moron and believes this shit. But I don't know. And this is also at the behest of that Malaysian weirdo in his basement, whatever his name is, that guy.
Well, it doesn't matter. We don't have to say it.
Yeah. And that he threw it out on Twitter, and Musk was like, "That's a good idea," and then he went and did it. So first of all, do we have a State Department? And we not operate in Malaysia? Does the CIA, like, why is this guy still, like, he's not a U.S. citizen? Gal Suburban has made this point. That guy's not a U.S. citizen. Why is he afforded free speech in this country when he's like, screwing with the war effort over there against this fucking dictator tyrant? Okay, that's just the first thing. And I have Crimea on the brain because I had Alina Baketova from SIPA on my podcast talking about Crimea today, right? This week.
Right.
Then there was the ADL thing. Okay.
God, I almost forgot about that. Right.
Because it happened 3 days ago. He basically opens the floodgates. It's like the scene in Ghostbusters where they open the portal and all the Nazis come back to Twitter. And he's eagerly under the guise of free speech, just like with the other thing, under the guise of peace and not escalating. It's fucking bullshit. Brings all the Nazis and all the anti-Semitism back to Twitter, enables it, puts it on steroids, gives everybody a blue check, ruins the blue check system just so the neo-Nazi type people can have blue checks, and then wonders why the ADL thinks he's a bad guy. It's like, dude. And he's threatening now, I'm going to sue the Anti-Defamation League for defamation. First of all, he's not. So stop reporting that he is. He's just saying dumb shit.
Right. Thank you.
Also, by the way, when you say billionaire, New York Times, traitor is a better word for him. Or chaos agent. Is he a billionaire at this point? I don't know. Fucking Twitter lost all its value. Like, I don't know what this guy's worth. Think of another word that's more useful to understanding who he is. Traitor is a good one. Then there's the Saudi Arabia stuff. Okay. Arij Al-Sadhan is suing Twitter for allegedly, he claims his sister is in prison in Saudi Arabia. Apparently Twitter gave gave all this DMs and private information to make it easier for a repressive, awful, evil regime led by a fucking madman, okay, who is only in power because he sits on the fucking oil reserves. Nobody likes this guy. He's a fucking clown. Giving this guy tools to go out and round up dissidents and put them in prison and worse. So Elon Musk has done all of those things. Like, in what reality, when are we going to stop with the whole, like, he's a genius. No, he's not. I mean, maybe he's an evil genius because he's been able to pull the wool over so many fucking people's eyes. Like, is Kara Swisher going to write a fucking piece about how this guy's bad at some point? Is the tech community going to, like, realize and really, really disavow this guy and repudiate him? And by the way, the right-wing people that he's enabling and promoting, they're anti-immigrant, they're anti-immigration, they're white supremacists. So why are we letting fucking Musk come here from South Africa and emigrate to this country instead of people that actually fucking deserve it, who want to be here, who represent American values? Why do we let this fucking chaos agent here? Go back to South Africa. That's it. That's what I got. He's complicit. The best case scenario is that he's a moron, and I don't think he's a moron.
Well, I mean, it's
Walter Isaacson doesn't write books about morons.
You can't have it both ways, right? Can't call him a genius and then have all this stuff, and it's like, well, he just doesn't know what he's doing. It reminds me so much of what we went through with the last president. It's like he's either in command of everything, everybody, or he's doesn't know what he's doing, and he just, we're supposed to feel sorry for him, but fuck everybody else's feelings, but no, not his. It's this gaslighting that's just, at certain points, just like, just stop. He knows what he's doing. It's whether it's, if you want to say that he's at least intelligent enough to have been able to craft a fake story about himself and con his way into having billions and being acknowledged, under, as the wealthiest man in the world at many points. He's definitely in those top 5, top 10. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I
mean, Isaacson did write a book about Kissinger before he wrote those other genius books. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. But I've had enough of him, and it's time. I remember there were folks, Joe Biden saying, we got to look into this thing. And the Ronan Farrow piece was, we talked about that before, at least putting out there in a mainstream way. It's not just our voices anymore going, I think the guy's a fraud, of really saying, look, all this stuff doesn't add up, but also no one individual should have that concentration of power when it comes to the business that they control. That's our national security business, and that brings back to Starlink. It comes back to SpaceX. It's all this,
and Twitter for it's a communication network. It's insane. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And by the way, I wrote about this at the time. Everybody who's following this, everyone in the chat room, we all knew who this guy was.
Yeah.
If we knew it, why didn't the government, come on, wake up? Enough with this, willful denial of reality. It's really just disgusting. So
yeah. All right. Well.
All right. I have to hide the banner.
Something will happen.
Yeah.
Hide that banner. Listen. We don't have karaoke this week, but I do know that we have a new sponsor. So I'm thrilled about the new sponsor. And Greg, I want you to have a great night.
Thank you.
We're all going to see you next week.
We'll be back next week. We'll do after hours next week. After this word from our sponsor, Cliff Schecter will be on. Be exciting. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Did you do legal work for a former chief executive but got stiffed? Is that same former chief exec now refusing to fund your criminal defense? Are your legal bills piling up so high you're forced to pawn your grandmother's old coins just to make ends meet? Hi, I'm Nunzio Ciccarelli, president of the Bank at Bada Bing. At the Bada Bing, we have the best asset recovery team this side of Naples. Whether you need to get your money back from your gambling addict brother-in-law, a shitbag Hollywood producer, or some Palm Beach loser who used to be president, Bada Bing can help. We'll get your cash back before you say Stugats. How are we so effective? Let's just say we make some bones about it. The Bank at Bada Bing. Give us a call and give us the fucking money. And now, back to the show.
Cliff Schecter.
Hello.
I'm so thrilled to see you.
Thrilled to see you too, as well as that ad. Although I have to reach through the ether to say hi to Greg. I kind of missed him on the way out. So
you missed him all the way out, but we're so thrilled to have you here.
For
us, and also being our guest at the same time. So you're co-host guest. I don't know that we've ever tried this.
I like to wear a lot of hats, and so
you're good at it.
Co-host, guest. Somebody who tries to stop traders from trading, whatever I can do.
Yeah, well, there's a cape in there somewhere for you, I'm sure.
I wouldn't go that far,
but how do you feel about just jumping into this next topic with me?
Yeah.
And I want to give you the lead on this. You and I have been talking quite a bit about why, it's all in this mix of what you're brilliant at articulating for everybody, of why our news and media totally sucks at carrying the message of what good is going on out there and what is actually happening in a way that should make us not be in a doom and gloom mode or out to get the dirty rotten bastard mode, but just celebrating that we actually are progressing and moving forward and good things are happening in the country. And what is wrong with them for not doing this? We can speculate about that all we want all day long, but what gets missed is having voices and having people actually tell us what actually is good. What is Bidenomics? What is this administration been up to for us? what's happening in our nation in a way that we can look at it, we can feel positive about where we are and where we're headed. And, so I wanted to throw that to you, and just, I know you've got a list of things, but you're always so great at keeping us informed on, hey guys, things are working, and it's, it's not as bad as you think it is. Yeah.
Well, I'll start by saying all these nice people are saying hi to me in the comments section. So
yes.
Thank you. And I am very happy to be here. So thanks for your kind words. Let's just start with the fact that the news media fucking sucks. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just going to go straight for it. Our political media, and look, I can name, there are numerous folks who, whether you consider them mainstream media or not, Brian Karam is incredible, Rex Hubke, Will Bunch, there are some folks out there, John Harwood, they're doing incredible work. So I don't want to act like it's every member of the media.
Right.
But the incentive system, well, the thing that pisses me off the most of all is when I hear people say, have they not learned anything? And it'd be like, we're talking about Elon Musk earlier, acting like he doesn't know what he's doing, right? I mean, in a lot of ways, he may believe conspiracies and be a dumb fuck, but he knows what he's doing when he does evil things. And members of the media who choose to downplay anything positive that comes out of the Biden administration, upplay, if that's a word, his age constantly when, he's 3 years older than the guy that like mainstreams KFC grease while watching Fox and Friends and raging at a television all the time, right? And, I mean, like, would I rather that we had somebody younger running for president? Absolutely, I would. However, and this will all also allow for to disclose that I wrote ads for Joe Biden in 2020. If anybody thinks that biases me, but the thing is that while you want to have your cake and eat it too, we can't have a perfect world. I wish Joe Biden were 10 years younger. I wish he were 20 years younger, but it doesn't change the fact that he's been an absolutely incredible president. And most people don't know that. They don't understand. I mean, just today he canceled a number of oil leases in Alaska that the former guy had signed off on. And it's like these things aren't even talked about, right? And I don't know. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, let's start there, because there is a voice from the progressive left that is very strong and very vocal about not liking Biden, specifically around the climate issues, and being very angry about the climate stuff. But, I need to get my toolkit together in terms of responding to that, because I hear about that from people that I know, and I don't have information to hand back, say, you know what, I'm not sure where you're getting that information, but here's X, Y, and Z that he actually is doing. So
the Inflation Reduction Act is the key here.
Okay.
I mean, it had the largest investment in clean energy, in climate mitigation measures and other things in the history of our country. Okay. He got that passed. I mean, this guy came into office. We've got a bunch of crazy fucking people that stormed the Capitol and wanted to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer and have threatened, Congressman Swalwell's family to the point where he needed guards 24 hours a day. And I can go on and on. I mean, we know the threats that are out there. We know we've got a radicalized Republican Party and he's got this bare majority based on, freaking old boy, Duke of Hazzard there, Joe Manchin, the miner's daughter, if you will, the coal miner's son. And you know what? Like, somehow he's passed the Inflation Reduction Act, and like there was massive investments in the climate. Like, is it going to be perfect? I mean, I don't know what some people on the far left want at some point. We still are theoretically a democracy. A lot of stuff still needs to actually pass through Congress. And what he's gotten passed, I mean, that's one thing, right? If you're in Washington, I lived there a decade, we were fighting. I worked with groups like Social Security Works and others. We were fighting to get Medicare the ability to negotiate prescription drugs for a generation. And there were some corrupt Democrats on that, just to say, I will call out Democrats, by the way, folks, when there were corrupt Democrats who were in with pharma. There were Republicans. We could never get the damn thing passed. Joe Biden got it passed, again, with a bare majority in the Senate. This is something that has cut prices massively for elderly folks who need it. And I can go on this long string, this list, like the job growth is ridiculous. The investments through the infrastructure bill, where he basically got McConnell, brought along the McConnell sort of wing of the Chamber of Commerce Republicans, because it was in their own best interest. And he used what they needed to get them on board. And we have these massive investments, that have created huge number of jobs, while the Inflation Reduction Act has brought down inflation. I mean, like, this is really amazing stuff that he's done. The original stimulus bill, getting COVID shots in arms in the amount of time that he did, no operation like that has been pulled off in the history of the world. And he had to go up against this group of lunatics who are vaccine deniers and complainers and bitchers and, whatever, who refused to get to get the vaccine, which has helped COVID remain. And so, I would honestly compare his economic record in one term is not far off from FDR, and his legislative record is not far off from LBJ. And then you start getting into foreign policy. We're out of Afghanistan, and that's talk about the news media fucking something up. I mean, they all had these stories about how horrible it was. The truth is, yeah, there was chaos at the beginning. Let me give you a hint: war's chaos. Pulling out of war zones generally doesn't go smoothly and perfectly. But after a couple of days of some of that, they got everything together, and that was an incredible operation. He's pulled NATO together. Right? So much of this stuff after the other guy basically got on his knees and licked Putin's boots in Helsinki, right? This is everything from his foreign policy to domestic policy. He's been incredible. So look, he's older than I'd like him to be. But decide, people, because I got to tell you, as somebody who's worked on campaigns.
Who's Mick Jagger?
I'm sorry?
So is Mick Jagger.
Exactly. I saw Bruce Springsteen. I just saw Bruce Springsteen live, and I got lucky. I caught him in East Rutherford, New Jersey, right before he had to cancel the rest of all of his concerts because he's got a peptic ulcer. He was amazing, by the way, because he's Bruce Springsteen, always is. But the point is, yeah, we're all older, and as you said, yes, okay, so that factor is there. But I will tell you this. If you understand politics and you understand history, if you look at all the times we end up losing when we have an incumbent, because I've got friends and other folks who be like, can't we just get rid of Biden? Folks, there will be a civil war in the Democratic Party, not civil war like violent, but there will be a 30-person primary. They won't be able to fit everybody on that stage that wants to be president. You'll end up having everybody from Gavin Newsom to Gretchen Whitmer to Cory Booker to Kamala Harris and whatever. We'll all get in a huge pie fight, and we'll allow the Republicans to win. That's what happens when you take away that unifying factor. Think of 1980, Teddy Kennedy takes on Carter, we lose. Think of 2016 with Bernie taking on Hillary, we lose. When we have these vicious primaries, we lose. And it's not just us. Pat Buchanan took on George H.W. Bush and then ended up helping Bill Clinton win in 92. You don't want that. So in the end, I feel like I need to point all of this out, the amazing job he's done, because again, our news media fucking sucks. They have all of there's exceptions to that rule, but their incentives are all screwed up. It's about clicks. It's about making conservative publishers happy. It's about groupthink when you're in a big room of people and you don't want to be the one to seem like you care, like you're an activist. You know what I mean? And they've actually said those words, we're not activists, as if telling the truth is a form of activism. I just want you to do your goddamn job and not sit there and say, well, Democrats say one thing and Democrats say that the sky is blue. Republicans say the sky is having multiple abortions right now because Democrats support abortion. What do you think? That's what we're stuck with, with a news media that does both sides and doesn't do the truth.
Okay, so
here's my rant.
So that's an amazing rant. What should both the Biden campaign and the DNC and us, what can we be doing messaging wise? If you were messaging this, what would you message? What would you put forward first?
So you easily want to pick a few things, like the things that best contrast you with your opponent and that are most important to people, and make that argument. Under Trump, we lost jobs. We've set records for job creation. Unemployment went up slightly recently. It was at its lowest level in 50 years. Make the economic argument. Is your life better? Do you have more jobs? Are you doing better than you're doing before? Absolutely that versus what Trump did. I'd add the infrastructure thing in there and just be like, hey, is it infrastructure week yet? There's so many ways to mock Trump and make your positive is his negative. Obviously, abortion rights, because it goes to the larger issue of freedom. I would talk about democracy, and I would talk about guns. because it's gone past being an issue that where it's just a couple people, like the public square. I've talked too long.
That's
It's
okay.
become a more dangerous place, and people. I mean, there are people that don't want to go to certain public places. They're scared to let their kids go to school. I think if the argument should be wrapped around that we're here for your family, your community, for your children. We've made your lives better. We are fighting for women's freedom. We are fighting for your right to get a better job. We've broken records in terms of bringing manufacturing jobs here, high-paying jobs, and these kinds of things. You can simplify that honestly into a couple of things, and I really think you can around community, family, and and your children, and like this is what
community, family, children, and safety, all of that. But also, I do want to encourage, in case you can share this with anyone, climate. They got to get on top of.
But that's part of all of that. That is your family and your community, right?
Family,
like,
but speak to it directly and get on top of it.
I agree,
because we're getting wedged on it from our own teams, and it's.
No, you're right. I didn't mean to not. I think that should be a core issue up front too. But the key to great messaging always is, you've got your umbrella, right? You've got your narrative about what you've done, which is good, and what the other guys suck at. With us, it's prosperity, it's democracy, it's family. If I just off the top of my head, I mean, obviously I would message test this and do all these things and do more than I'm just sort of throwing at you. But if you threw out those three things, think about the contrast you could paint between us and them, what we're doing now and what they did, right? How we're strengthening democracy and fighting for women's rights, how they raided the Capitol and tried to kill the vice president. I mean, these are not like these arguments aren't that difficult to make, but we have to assertively make them, because here's the thing. The media loves controversy. The media will cover it. And this is where Democrats have gotten better at messaging. I mentioned Swalwell before, Ted Lieu, Dan Goldman is terrific at this. Stacey Plaskett is fantastic. Gretchen Whitmer is great. There's more. There's a whole group of folks who are really good at this. And I think it's because they're in their sort of early 60s and younger, and they're no longer part of that sort of generation that was in a crouch because they thought, oh my God, Reagan's so popular, we can't argue with them. They get that we're on the right side of everything, and they get that that the information, how we speak about things, how we communicate has changed. You must use modern technology. You need to use social media. You need to say things that are a little dicey and controversial to get them covered by our media, because then they will cover it. You know what I mean? I mean, they do it all the time. We see it. Jim Jordan claims that blah, 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 blah. And it's a complete bullshit claim. But, Republicans with this abortion, Democrats think you should abort a baby 30 days after it's born. Well, first of all, that's not abortion, you dumb fucks. But second of all, I mean, that's murder is what that is. And no, nobody believes that. 1% of abortions are late-term abortions, always because a woman's life or health is in danger. And Roe versus Wade didn't cover that. Like, they're just lying. But if they say that, they know the media will cover it. So why can't we say the truth about them in just as strong language and have the media cover that? We need to force the media to cover things because they will not do it on their own. Apparently, democracy isn't good enough for them. Being called the enemy of the people, they don't seem to realize that if it comes down to cattle cars, they'll be sitting right next to me. But they don't seem to get that. So we need to force them to do their jobs.
I think the channels, rather than the individual journalists, but the channels themselves just see dollar signs. And, I'm not sure that they have an issue being a propaganda channel. So,
well, the problem is individual journalists, again, they responded in certain incentives, and except for some of the really courageous ones, right? I mean, they keep coming to mind. Ben Collins, another one. Like, there's ones out there that will just say what the truth is. The others, they respond to all this. Well, the publisher's more conservative. Will that hurt my job advancement? Do I want to step out of line and say something really risky? So I need to fulfill my quota and get my clicks, they respond to the wrong incentives. And I'm just saying we need to reorient that and make them respond to we have to use that to our advantage. If they need clicks, let's give them clicks.
Still the audience. That's the other way to do it. Just still the audience in the new media. All right. These folks. Let's go into our next segment. Thank you for all
I'll
of
be
that.
I'll
by
be
the
I'll be a
way.
little more calm in the next
I
segment, but the media gets me.
No, I get you going, but I do like hearing, because you are a seasoned professional when it comes to messaging, and it's, even though we feel like we know what should be done because we know what's not being done and what we're missing. It's I do think it's really important that everybody just continue to pay real close attention to the words coming out of our mouths and the words coming out of the mouths of others, and just, slow down, stop it, and try to put forward the truth as much as possible, and just
Right.
talk about all this horseshit with
Right. I mean, if I can just say one last quick thing on it.
yeah,
Everybody who's watching this right now, everybody out there has a voice, has certain social media platforms, has, maybe you go out, you have a bridge group, maybe you have a reading group, maybe you go play, tennis with people, maybe you, whatever it is you do, you have influence, you have a voice, you can convince people online, offline. And so it's to get this messaging and make sure people know how low the unemployment rate is, because the media doesn't like talking about it too much. Make sure they know how much, how many that we've brought, 800,000 or so in manufacturing jobs back. Biden didn't just talk about it, he just did it. It's like the most in like 50 or 60 years. I mean, these are high paying jobs. So, we gotta be the ones to make sure it gets out there, to force the media to cover it, but also to make sure like our families know, our friends know, our social groups know. And then we will win.
Okay. I like winning. Let's win. All right, let's go into cloud cuckoo, everybody. Kind of takes us into that a little bit. This is because I want to have this in here because all this news broke. We were looking at doing this segment and talking about people like Flynn and Cleta Mitchell and what the hell, and these folks that are just still out there. The Alex Joneses and Roger Stones of the world. Like, why are these folks allowed to, and Steve Bannon's, to just stay out there when we know they were involved in a lot of these frauds and criminal acts, or at least should have been an indictment, and then boom, the indictment drops, or the unindicted list drops, and all the grand jury findings drop, and we're like, oh well, there they are. So since we handled it at the top of the show, because I know everyone wants to hear, and I wanted to hear what Greg had to say about it, I also want to hear what you have to say about it. I just, what do you think? I mean, I don't see a world where some of these folks Fannie Willis just sort of said, well, there's not enough, we're not going to do them. I think some deals have been struck. I think deals have been struck.
I have to believe some deals have been struck. And again, I speak like Greg is a non-lawyer, but someone that maybe hopefully possesses some common sense. And that's arguable in either direction. But I mean, either that there have been deals struck, or that some of those folks, even if it was a recommendation that she indict, if I understand correctly, she doesn't have to indict right now. She still can indict down the line. And so maybe she feels like there's more and she can build a stronger case. She wants to bring cases forward that she wins. We all want her to do that, obviously. Bringing a case forward and not having, and having it, and having one of these folks get off would be bad. So if I have to,
with RICO, what's really interesting about RICO is, even though she wants to have them tried all together, or probably at least clumps of them. She said that if a couple of people start falling out, it can start a watershed thing in the wrong direction, right? Where your entire RICO case can fall apart. So, and on the other side of that is, I've looked at a lot of RICO. I talked to the man who created the RICO statute. Like it's very specific to organized crime, or had been up until this point, even though it gets you other things. So I happen to have read a lot of RICO cases, studied a lot of RICO cases, and I can say that there's always a cooperator before the case is brought, before we find out about it, before the indictments come down. There's somebody cooperating. There's a lot specific to RICO, and I'm sure there's other kinds of crimes, right? But because it's about a conspiracy between more than one person, more than two people, that you have the case if somebody in the conspiracy has been pressured to give over the information and confirm the conspiracy. That is when the indictments rain down. They don't rain down before that typically. Even in organized crime, even when everybody's like, oh, don't rat, and they don't talk, and omerta.
Right.
I don't know. They all talk. Like, it's one of the myths about the mafia that I just keep trying to get people to get. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of they all talk. They all cut deals. They all
Omerta. Nobody says anything.
Well, it's as much a part
ask Sammy the Bull Gravano about that.
Thank you. Yeah. It's as much a part of the life as anything else. It's as much a part of the culture as anything else. And then they just lie about it. They lie about being rats, and they lie about themselves. They lie about their culture. When it comes to mafia, not specific to anything outside of that. So I just, to me, Cleta Mitchell's name coming up twice in that grand jury recommendations as the number one name on the list. I don't think it's because it's like, okay. And so we'll see. She was doing that with Ginny.
Yeah, I know. And that's the other thing is, look, I was glad that some Republicans joined in the January 6th committee, but I did feel to me like Liz Cheney maybe didn't want to go so hard after.
She didn't want to go after her friend. No?
Cousin Ginny. She, some of the other folks. And I think, again, we've got, I think I saw in the comments there, our good friend Celery, who I see around various places, and mentioned that Jack Smith may be coming with more. I mean, It isn't like some of these folks can't talk to each other and make sure that people get the worst, hopefully, that they can get from the right person. And so, again, not being a legal expert, but I don't think these folks are off the hook yet. I think maybe some of them made deals, and I think some of the other ones, there's potentially still justice coming from Jack Smith, Fannie Willis, or Fani, I think I should call her.
Fani, yeah.
Yes. And others. Again, remember the strategy with Jack Smith initially, where he was holding out with New Jersey because he was worried about, getting the illustrious Judge Eileen Cannon, obviously one of the smarter and more well-read and sort of top-of-the-line legal scholars that we've all been blessed.
Flamenco dancers. Don't forget that.
And flamenco dancers. We've all been blessed to have in our lives. And he was preparing, making sure there were other venues to go after these guys, if and when it was necessary. And so there's strategies going on here. And that is my hope, because I don't understand, again, like, don't they have Lindsey Graham on tape too? I mean, doing some of this stuff. I mean, I don't know how he avoided being, indicted. And I find Kelly Loeffler very interesting. I mean, another sellout. I mean, she was a huge donor. They're like, why don't you run? And she was one of the ones who backed, reminds me of Jane.
I forgot she backed out like at the last minute. She kind of.
Yep. And she reminds me of initially, apparently, she'd been one of the voices that said to the Republican Party in the previous years, you have to be more moderate. But it's amazing what happens to these people that say that the minute they get close to power. Then they're like, we're not fascist enough. J.D. Vance is a great example. Here in Ohio.
Maybe they're going to scatter in the other direction. I don't have any idea. And this wasn't the only good news of the week. In terms of revelations and things, and the wheels of justice really showing themselves to be working in the favor of small d democracy and upholding the rule of law against the traitors. So we'll get into all that next. I want to, in our last topic, I want to take a beat here, Cliff. And what we normally do at this time is we have announcements. I don't have any announcements, guys. I'm sorry. I feel like every week I'm like, I don't have anything to share. But I want people to know where they can find you. So this is also where now we're going to put the hat on, put your cape on, and now you're our guest, And so
self-promote the hell out of myself.
Self-promote, please. Where can people find you? What do you have going on? And do you have any announcements have anything new that you want
Well,
to share?
I mean, working hard at, my YouTube channel, and it's actually right there, folks. You can go right there and subscribe, like, boom. We have, in a year, we got like 26,000 subscribers, which is
I know
cool.
you're really
We're-
doing so well. You got to
We're
help us.
growing. You guys are doing
That's my
great.
announcement. You got to help. Help.
Okay, I will help you, and
Okay,
as you've
good.
helped me by having me on this show and making me
Yeah.
smarter.
Yeah.
But I try to put out commentaries regularly. I try to infuse them with humor where I can, but also tell people the larger lessons, because there's usually larger lessons to these stories, as we've talked about here. And so I would ask folks. I mean, that's really where I've gotten excited about the YouTube channel, as we've dealt with the stuff, with Musk and Twitter and 47 different sort of options to switch to. And
Where do we go? I really still don't feel like there's any alternative. That's
right. So I'm still there. I mean, I'm there at Cliff Schecter, and come by and follow if you're on Twitter. Absolutely. Because I do think we still have to push our messaging. We have to be there and talk about, the things that are important, because that's where journalists are and other influencers but government officials and everything. But YouTube is where I'm having the most fun, and I'm putting a lot into it. I've got ideas for new segments that I'm going to start doing regularly. It will not be as cool as the 5.8, because I can't be that cool, but they'll be close. I'll get it as close as I can.
all right. We let you in the club. You're in the clubhouse.
Awesome.
You're
And
in.
thank you. That's the big, look, I wish I had like really other cool announcements. But
No, but that's great. So your YouTube channel is right there. I think we've got it up on our thing, or they can go over to and just hit subscribe and follow. And what do you have days that you put content out more than other days? Do you have like days of the week, or?
We pretty much do every day. I've got a partner there, a contributor who has a podcast, and he puts some really interesting interviews up. He's done them with, what I'm trying to think of recently, just with Philip Bump, who's the one who I say at the Washington Post is one of the good ones, who seems to stand up to the pressures of, don't actually report what's going on. Recently, he had former governor of Ohio, Ted Strickland, on. He's had Sheldon Whitehouse on. He's had, folks like that. And so we do a mixture. It's more commentary. That's more my thing. Where the rant you heard me go off on there. I like doing a solid 5 minute, a little bit of self-righteousness, a little bit of comedy, and whatever the hell else comes out of my mouth in between.
It is important to feel like when you do have something to say and it's coming from experience and knowledge, that there's an outlet. I think that's why this outlet it's always felt great to be able to just put your face and your voice out there and sort of say, hey everybody, and have an audience respond in real time. It is fun, guys. I mean, there is something great about it. All right. So on that, I know that you had a video. We'll segue into our last segment here. You had a video today, and you're going to do something. We gave you the controls to where you can share this.
I know it's kind of scary. Let's see if
I
I can
don't know how to do this, but
I'm going to screw it up. So beware, folks.
All right.
Technology is not a strong suit here.
Let's see if we can play something live on air. We've not done this from YouTube before.
I'm going to share my screen, so hopefully I've got nothing scary up there.
All right, we're trying something new, everybody. Hang in there with us. Oh, maybe not.
Oh, no, wait, hold on.
Cliff.
Do you see it?
I see nothing.
You see nothing? Okay, that might be bad. I see something up on here. Let's Chrome tab, entire screen. No, that's not good.
No. What are you doing? We made it. I don't know, because I can't go down.
Let's see.
There's
if I hit
present. What about present down below?
Yeah, that's what I did. And now it's up here. Choose what to share with StreamYard. Let's say we'll be able to see the contents of your screen. It should work. Let's try it.
All right, let's try. It's working.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Look, that's me.
That's you.
Actually, to get
Okay, turn it up.
I don't know if you've watched with the recent press conference by Peter Navarro, former Trump official, allegedly planned January 6th. Trump refused to testify before the January 6th committee and of course has now been held in contempt and is being tried in federal court for it. Will lie and cheat and do whatever it takes to help his buddy Donald Trump, even though, of course, Trump will throw him overboard someday. And this lady is the hero we deserve because it's important that people show up and make their voices heard. She's shown up twice now to his press conference. First one a couple days ago, and it went viral. Hilarious.
Here's the problem.
Hero.
Who's this? Come on.
Bro,
Get me out.
you're already
Come on.
facing charges.
Yeah, I get it.
Go ahead and commit
So,
a crime.
So,
You've been sitting here this whole time. Situational.
yes, okay.
Yes, that's right. Pete Navarro has trouble with lots of things. He has trouble overthrowing governments and grabbing signs, apparently. Life can be difficult for a scummy, low-level Trump advisor. But she showed up again to another press conference, dancing behind him, blowing a whistle, generally mocking him.
These trials are very expensive.
Using my image to grift off me. Send me money. Continue.
These trials are very expensive. That's part of the Democrats' lawfare against us. All right, come on, dude. Come on, dude. Yeah, it's time to go. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully,
Same time, same place.
hopefully, free speech will.
Here's the thing. You may say, oh, it's childish. She's not, because this is a democracy, and democracy has free speech. And we don't use our free speech often to point out exactly who these people are. She did. I've made this argument often how the media treats them, which is why I get so angry at our media. They invite the January 6th coup plotters and others on their shows on Sunday and evening. They're normalizing. She won't normalize this guy. She won't act like his contempt of court and his plotting with Trump is okay. She's treating him like the clown that he is by acting the way she does. We need more of it. It's like the people that bothered Mitch McConnell when he was eating publicly.
Mitch McConnell is now the latest politician to be heckled while at a restaurant. Get out of here! Why don't you leave?
And everybody said, oh my God, that's so horrible. And blah, blah, blah. Now, maybe not McConnell in the condition he's in now. The point is, these people that tried to overthrow our democracy should never have a peaceful night out again. Not violence. Make them uncomfortable. They shouldn't be comfortable publicly the way none of us could be comfortable publicly on January 6th when we didn't know what was going to happen to our government, particularly our guards who are guarding the Capitol. Yes, laugh your ass off at this tool, Peter Navarro. But also enjoy the fact that he's receiving the treatment he needs to receive in a democracy. To tell everybody else out there how serious of a figure he is. That is just about as serious as Bozo the Clown.
Since I hit my 40.
Whoa. How do I end this now?
Okay, now we're gonna just remove it. Hang on.
You like that? Since I hit
There
my
we go.
40s.
I love it. I love her. I hadn't seen her yet.
Look, they know how to do ads for me. Oh, let's see. How do we remove it?
I already did. I got it out of there. Look at your screen. We're together.
Oh, I'm with you?
You're with me.
Outstanding. I am with you.
Well
still
done.
looking
You
at the other
did, you
thing.
did something new on the 5.8. You came
Oh
in.
my
you
God,
pulled
guys, I actually pulled it off.
You pulled off something new.
And look, Ivo just said he needs some skin cream. See, so I helped everybody with that.
That it was so helpful. All right, so let's talk about some of the other people that we should be calling out, laughing at. I think and just enjoying. This is our final segment of the night, and I just want to enjoy some of what Justice has been delivering. So Peter Navarro, we saw that he lost. Did he lose his? What happened to him? What was the end result?
The court. He was found guilty. He was found in contempt of court for refusing a lawful subpoena. So now we just have to see what the sentence will be. Hopefully, as harsh as humanly possible, and hopefully, maybe I would be okay with a sentence where if he wasn't in, he didn't even have to be in prison. But he just has to be somewhere where that woman can be there dancing behind him and mocking him. Like, that should be his purgatory for the rest of all time.
Yeah, I always wanted to have a trader cam for all these guys that go into prison. I think we should have a trader cam so we can check it, like the wildlife photos, right? Like with the wildlife cams where you're watching, but we're watching them in their prison cells. I would love that. I would just check in with everybody.
Yeah, why not? Right?
22 years, Enrique Tarrio.
And that's huge, right?
It's huge, yeah, because he wasn't there. He actually wasn't there on the day. He was there before, and he was part of the planning of it all. So there's all kinds of speculation. I don't want to get into all that legal stuff. It felt good to see that a just sentence came down for this individual who really did try to overthrow the government. Conspiracy, and people died. Police died. He belongs in jail for 22 years. Stand back and stand by for 22 years is where we're at with that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of standing back, a lot of standing by. I hope he
a lot of it for a long time. He's going to get used to it. The zip tie guy is going to prison with his mom. That happened.
His mom. That's so awesome.
Mom. So yeah, and then
Sorry.
Sidney Powell. Okay, so this is what Sidney Powell did. So there's pressure coming on her from Jack Smith now in the federal case, in case anybody misses. So she's, there's this case of fraud happening for raising money, raising funds, wire fraud, bank fraud, all this sort of stuff. For the folks that knew that the election wasn't stolen, but used that lie, knowingly were lying, to get people to donate into their PAC because she had some fund, right? And that's what's coming under his Jack Smith's scope, under his microscope. So she was raising money based on this, lie that she knew was a lie, that the election had been stolen. And it's clear with whatever evidence, whatever communications he's got on her, that she knew that the election was not stolen, but they were using that lie to get people to give money into her little whatever she had.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fraudulent to me.
Right. So that's right. Now, hang on. Then she took that money, and what he's looking at now is she took that money and paid people to try to get into the voting machines to actually, if this all pans out to be accurate, who knows? But it looks like the accusation.
You have some video of that?
I know that right.
I thought I saw video.
So the election's rigged. The election rigged. They defrauded. They stole the election. Give us your money, and then take it and turns around and does the very thing that she was accusing everybody else of raising the money. So you can't get a cleaner crime racket than that. That's just like, it's perfect. That to me is like, we're going to be the insurance company that insures the restaurants for the mafia, and then we're going to burn it down, and then we're going to pay the fee, but we're going to be paying it to ourselves, right? And it's like, it's really clean. So anyway, that's her racket. Maybe she'll go down for that. We'll see.
No, that would be great.
That would be great. Then Alabama has to redraw their maps after defying SCOTUS. So Alabama decided to defy the Supreme Court ruling that they were, gerrymandering and all the stuff that we're doing to repress votes.
Based on racism, of course, trying to have there be one black district and force everybody into that. So when there really is more than enough. I mean, the population of the state, I think the African-American population of the state of Alabama is about 20. I'm a geek and I study these things because I look at political maps all the time. I think it's about 27% or so. I mean, there's more than enough when you count that and other Democrats who are not black, that there should be two Democratic districts there. And they're trying to force there to be one. So
well, they have to redraw their maps. So
enjoy it, you sons of bitches.
They tried and they lost. Fuck them. E. Jean Carroll won again against her rapist.
I mean, incredible, right? The wins have been piling up. Oh, hey, there was also a judicial loss for DeSantis in Florida.
Oh, really? What happened there?
They ruled their seats unconstitutional. Now, there was the state court, I believe. So there's still litigation and whatever. But yeah, I believe a state court found it on, because they had gerrymandered the Florida lines.
Oh God. Well, okay, it's not working. I don't know if new cases come, what this Supreme Court will do with it. I think this was just upholding rulings from prior. I'm not quite sure about all that, but at least it's that stuff is working still. Which thank God. I know we're not supposed to doom and gloom. These are all the wins, but I also can't believe that the wins are happening. There's a part of me I just was starting to get really cynical about it. So
I know it's hard not to. Do you have other wins? I have one other thing I can think of.
The Meadows win, our win against Meadows, he tried to move it just now, right before we went on air. That news broke that he tried to.
Right.
He got turned down for moving his charges in Georgia to a federal court. So he's going to have to face some music in that state. So.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Maybe he'll cooperate now. We'll see.
Let's
see.
Oh, Mr. Meadows.
You have another win? Did you have another win that I missed?
Yeah, well, the Republicans, again, like, it's just, they don't believe in democracy, and they show you again and again the constant assaults. So you may have heard that there's been talk in Wisconsin that they're going to impeach the newly elected Democratic justice that gave us a majority, where we won by 14 points, 12 points, like just kicked the crap out of them. Because for no reason except for they've got super majorities in the gerrymandered state house and state senate, and they figured that, well, if we impeach her, then the court will be split evenly, and they won't be able to do all these sorts of things, overturn our seats. But the first Republican state house member just came out against it, and said he just said I won't do it. I don't know if that's because he's in a swing district. I'm not really sure why, but those things can have a snowball effect. And so right away, this early, when we just start hearing the talk to have a state rep say he will not vote to impeach her, is a good sign.
That's a good sign. All right, maybe the winds of change are happening. I don't know.
But to sing the Scorpions song together.
I know. No, you don't want me to sing.
I could whistle it.
But I know that you know this because I know your taste in music. All right. Well, listen, we're going to take the wins. We're going to call this a great week. It's been ever more special because you joined me, and I have my first sort of guest co-host experience, and I'm so glad.
Oh my gosh, I'm like the first guest co-host. Now I feel even better.
I might have done it once before, but I don't quite remember it.
Then we're gonna write that one off. I'm the first. I'm kidding. You're awesome. I love you, and having a chance to just sit here and enjoy your sense of humor and your brilliance that's enough of a gift. So
all right. Well, we'll end on that if everybody's okay. As everyone knows, you can also find us, because you're finding us here on the YouTube. But we do want to encourage everybody to join, become a member if you can. And that's just, we've got a couple tiers, and we will be having after hours, and we will be doing continue to do special content for our members. But if you can't do that, we just want to see you here next week. So hit that subscribe button so that we don't miss you and you don't miss us.
Guys, join. They're awesome, and they've been so necessary during these times.
Our audience is amazing. So that's our show for the week. Thank you all for joining us. And Cliff, I have this little saying that we're going to send everybody out on tonight.
All right.
We want you to have a good night and a good weekend. And just always remember, we're going to get through it.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
I think we're out.
Are we out?
We're not. Okay, everybody. I'm trying to do
Hi, guys. If we're still in,
we're
good to see you
still in.
again.
We're going to end it. Bye.
Bye.